It's Tim Benz and Guy Junker with TribLIVE Radio, brought to you by Pleasant Hills Duffy's Beer. See all of their weekly specials at duffysbeer.com. And Guy, before we started off today, he's pouring through his notes. He's sweating bullets trying to keep his first place standing in pick and pork. And you don't know which way to go today because of all the quarterback situations and the quarterback decisions that need to be made due to injury. I don't think it's that hard, especially in the Browns-Steelers case. I'm going Steelers. I don't know what you are that worried about between those two quarterbacks.
I'm worried about the Duke quarterback, Sirk.
Well,
If he plays, he's the kind of quarterback I think can give Pitt trouble. If he doesn't play, the backup is so inexperienced. I think Pitt will tee off on him. But I think things have cleared up a little bit from even when we were here 24 hours earlier, Tim. It looks like, Ben had a pretty encouraging practice yesterday. I'm not sure he's going to play. I was more concerned about D'Angelo Williams not being able to play. And he had a full practice, and unless he has some kind of issue, it looks like he'll play. So, I think you're right. I think that is a little more cut and dried than the Pitt game is right now.
Well, when I look at where things stand for the Steelers going in, and it's kind of highlighted by what happened last night with the Bills and Jets, and we'll get to in a minute, but they should be better than those teams, even without the injuries. When the injuries mount up at quarterback, though, that's kind of what brings them down to the Browns level. Now, I look at some of the other teams that are vying for the wild card right now in the AFC, and I still think the Steelers should be elevated above those other clubs. But when you talk about Landry Jones as the starter going into a week, that changes everything. It
does, and I think that sometimes I wonder, is that just us, watching the Steelers so closely? We think that, but you watch that their quarterback. It's not just the quarterback; he's been out with injury a second time now, but. Two key members of the offensive line hurt, and you've been out your number one. Thank goodness. I mean, we complain about their bad draft picks or their bad personnel decisions. The D'Angelo Williams thing was how could you expect anything more from a 32-year-old running back? He has 127 yards in his first start, 3 touchdowns in his second start, 170 yards in his third start, and a career high in total yardage from the line of scrimmage. So, that's a great move there. But the game on Thursday night ends up making it a 3-way tie right now at 5-4. And it's a little bit early to worry about that, but actually it's not. And the Bills and the Jets both have a much better conference record than the Steelers. If that stays a 3-way tie, and I've mentioned often in the last couple weeks, the Jets' schedule is cake.
Yeah.
They really have an easy schedule. If that's a 3-way tie, the Steelers are out. They have 2 conference wins. Buffalo is 5. The Jets have 4. So that's why, you look at a Cleveland game, you think you should beat them, even if I don't know, we've talked about, if they go into the bye 500, it gets to, no. You can't lose any more conference games because it's going to end up coming down to a tiebreaker, and it's going to kill them.
And my point is that this game with the Browns obviously is winnable. It shouldn't be losable, but it is. And if the Browns are that much beneath where the Bills and Jets are, you figure the Bills and Jets should be the 2 teams just scraping their way into that 6th spot. But like you said, the Steelers are still behind them. If you really want to do the tiebreakers and advance the spreadsheet and everything, they've still got ground that they have to close and has to start in conference. They can't afford another conference loss to a bad team. They've taken that margin for error out by losing some of the close games that they did, of course, in part due to the fact that Ben was hurt earlier in the year.
It's certainly a chance in 3 weeks to make up a little ground there, too. They get a bye and then they get another NFC game. So, if you really want to try to get back into it from that aspect, I think the thing is, I was interested when we talked to Daryl yesterday from Cleveland about the Browns' attitude, Tim, and whether or not Pittsburgh week was still a special week for them. He says, no, it's another game on the schedule, because that matters. Because when you get a team that's in their situation, sometimes they can galvanize around a week if it's against a bitter rival. And I also wonder what the guys in that locker room really think about the quarterback situation. If they're both healthy and they choose Manziel, that may piss some of those guys off. We still want to win some games here. You got this kid who doesn't work hard. He's not prepared for the games, but you're going to go with him, sacrificing what we're going through right now for the future. So I think there's so many hidden variables with the Browns. You know what you know about the Steelers, and other than the injury situation, but I think Cleveland's a tough thing to analyze right now.
It's the Morning Sports Report with Tim Benz and Guy Junker on TribLIVE Radio, brought to you by Duffy's Beer and much more in Pleasant Hills. See all of their weekly specials at duffysbeer.com.